want to welcome you to the course Amazon Traffic Momentum. And in this course, we're going to talk a little bit about who I am and where I came from in terms of my trajectory in this crazy Amazon business. And then we're going to go right into some traffic basics and understanding kind of some of the basic elements of traffic going to your Amazon product listings. And then after that, I will introduce to you my top 3 traffic sources for Amazon sellers and how you can then hopefully use those traffic sources to build your own traffic momentum for your listings and get more sales. Okay, because that's the whole point of traffic on getting traffic onto your listings is to convert that traffic into a sale. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to do that. All right. So in the next section, we're going to talk a little bit about myself and then on to the real meat of the course. All right. So I'll see you in the next section. Bye-bye. All right. I always like to understand a little bit about who's teaching me. And so in this section, I'm going to talk a little bit about myself and my story, how I got started selling on Amazon just 3 short years ago, really. I call this from suicidal to 6 figures because literally that's kind of how it happened. I always had a dream about being my own boss ever since I was a little girl. And by being my own boss, I meant really just being an entrepreneur. I loved selling things and thinking of new ways of making money and, raising tadpoles and going door to door and trying to sell tadpoles. I lived out in the woods when I was little growing up. And so we had lots of little ponds and streams, and I would be out there when I wasn't in school, I was spending my afternoons at my grandmother's pond trying to collect frogs and tadpoles and trying to sell them and raise them. And so I always had this entrepreneurial spirit in me. And then my dad owned his own business, and so I'd help him on my summer breaks. I'd help him. He owned his own computer business, and so I'd help him go to different places and install network cables and clean out computers and all that. And so I have been all my life, been around business all my life, really, and so that passion's really been within me for a very long time. But as I grew older, I have struggled with severe depression, and mental illness is something that's not talked about a lot openly, but I think that depression loves silence, and the more it remains silent, the stronger grip it has on people. And so I really, I don't feel any shame or hesitation in sharing the fact that I do suffer from depression. I still struggle with it every day, but I feel like I dance with it and I maintain it. And it's something that will never go away completely, but I feel like on most days I'm able to keep it from controlling me, which is very important, because when you feel like you're out of control, that's when you have doubts. And when you have doubts, you start to become fearful. And those fears and doubts are really what ultimately kept me from achieving my greatest passions and goals and desires in my life. And so it got really low at one point, not too long ago. And I was driving home from work, and I was start counting the power poles along the side of the road, and I was contemplating just running my car right into one of those power poles and ending my life. And instead of doing that, I ended up pulling off to the side of the road, and I texted my sister, I think, and I'm pretty sure that's what I did. It's a lot of it is a blur to me, but I I basically stopped what I was doing and called out for help, or at least to just try to stop myself from ending my life. And Um, at that point, I don't remember anything other than the fact that obviously I got home because I'm still here today, which is good. I'm glad I did that. And it wasn't too shortly after that happened to me that I was reading through my emails one evening, and I saw an email that was from Robert Kiyosaki, who's the author of the Rich Dad Poor Dad books and also a book called Cash Flow Quadrant, which I highly recommend. And in these books, he talks about, his two dads. He has a rich dad and a poor dad. His rich dad was actually his best friend's dad, and his poor dad was his actual biological dad. And I won't go into too many details about Rich Dad Poor Dad. I really encourage that you look him up and read his books. But I subscribe to his email list, and in his email list, he always gives kind of some advice and real estate advice, investing advice, business advice. And in this email in particular, he was talking about how Amazon.com was revolutionizing not just how people were buying online, but how people were selling online too, and how regular people like myself could get started with relatively little investment, a lot less investment than if you were to try to open up a brick and mortar retail business, for example. Tens of thousands of dollars to open up a business like that. You could get started with relatively little investment and start building your own brand and selling your own brand of products on Amazon.com. And this just really sparked my interest to the point where I did a lot of independent research, and it took me a good 2 or 3 months to do research on it, and then determined that this was a lot more complicated than I thought initially, and that I really needed something a little bit more structured for my own use. And in terms of just my learning style, I needed something more structured. And so I bought a course, and in 3 months' time, I was able to build a 6-figure brand. And what I mean by that is that by 3 months' time, I was able to get a product up and selling on Amazon. Now, it took me quite a bit more time after that to actually build a 6-figure brand. But I was able to make it happen, and I was able to scale my Amazon business to other businesses, and not just on Amazon, but in other e-commerce areas and digital marketing areas as well. And I was able to kind of semi-retire my parents and help them kind of achieve their own level of personal freedom as well. And now I'm helping people. I'm giving back, and I'm helping people achieve similar success. And over the last 18 months or so, my clients have amassed over $500,000 in sales using the strategies and techniques that I've deployed in my own businesses. And so, I really, this next section is just more just to show you that I have some credentials behind me in terms of the fact that I walk the walk, but I can talk the talk as well. I'm certified and trained in some of the latest e-commerce and digital marketing strategies, which have helped me immensely in my businesses. Web authorities like ClickFunnels.com, DigitalMarketer.com, and Yoast.com, all very well-known and respected authorities in sales funnels, digital marketing, and SEO, search engine optimization. I also have a master's in business and administration, in management and strategy. So these are kind of some of my these are some of my badges, I guess you could call them, just to show you that I am certified and trained, and I apply the knowledge. I have applied the knowledge that I've obtained and become successful. Because if I were getting training from somebody, I would want to know that, who I was getting training from actually knew what they were talking about, right? So hopefully this gives you a little bit of background as to who I am and what I can help you achieve. And so the 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 strategies I'm going to be sharing with you today in this course are designed to help you get better results, and hopefully not waste more time and money and energy trying to learn things that aren't going to ultimately work for you. So the strategies I'm going to share with you today hopefully will help you as long as you implement them correctly. This will allow you to improve your chances for success in the future. So with that, that's the end of about me. And in the next section, we'll go a little bit about talk a little bit about the traffic basics and what all that the traffic strategies that you can deploy in your own business. All right. So I'll see you in the next section. Bye bye. Okay, so in this section, we're going to just go over briefly what some of the traffic basics are in terms of, what traffic really means in the context of selling on Amazon.com and really elsewhere online as well. And it says it right there, really kind of summarizes it plainly. No traffic equals no sales. And just consider something very important, interesting fact that over the last year, between April 2017 and March 2018, 2.5 million people have visited Amazon.com. And that's based on a monthly average, just summing monthly average traffic data coming onto Amazon.com. That's the total. So 2.5 million people have visited Amazon.com between April 2017 and March 2018. That's a lot of people. All right. And so that's how many people potentially could be seeing your product. Now, obviously not everybody is searching for the product you're trying to sell, but it just shows you how important it is. And so really traffic is the lifeblood of your products. No traffic, no sales. All right. When you have more traffic, you have more opportunity to make the sale. All right. You have more opportunities to make a conversion. So the number one priority and task as a seller, once you get your listing live and you've basically told Amazon you have inventory to sell, you need to be getting high quality traffic to your listing. That is your number one priority. That's it. You need to be driving traffic to your listing every single day. And you can't just rely on Amazon to do it for you. You need to make an effort to do it to help that along. All right, so let's go over some traffic basics and go over some terminologies, and so that you kind of have an understanding as to what all this means. All right, so traffic is the number of hits or page visits to your listing. This is when somebody actually is viewing your listing and they're reading your description, your title, your feature bullets, and you're seeing your images. Okay. A click-through, and you're gonna hear these terms being thrown around a lot. So click-through usually applies to paid advertising. This is when somebody sees your ad on an ad placement on Amazon or elsewhere, and the clicks are when people click on the main listing display. So if somebody were to search for garlic press on Amazon and they hit enter, then when somebody sees your listing up on the first page and they click on it, that's a click through. Okay. And so that's just a metric. It's how many times your listing link is displayed when it's clicked on and they made it to your listing page. So if you see like a click-through rate, a CTR, that's the number of times somebody clicked on your listing. Okay. And then a conversion is the most important, secondary to traffic, I think, which is, that means a visitor clicked on your listing link and made a purchase from your listing page. Okay. So those are really the traffic basics. And each one of these things, you're gonna hear these terms being thrown around. So it's important to understand what traffic means in the context of your business. So I just want to make sure that we all are on the same page in terms of what those definitions are. Okay, so in the next section we'll talk about the traffic sources that I think are the best for your business. Okay, so let's go over these top 3 traffic sources for Amazon sellers and what all that is about. All right. So there are many different sources of traffic, and I'm just going to be touching upon a few of them here because I think these are probably going to give you the best chance for success on Amazon and just driving traffic. But and these sources of traffic all range from free to paid. Each source has their own unique strategies that are going to help you maximize results. So unfortunately, there's not really a one size fits all solution to traffic sources. You have to look at each one individually and really develop a separate strategy and plan for implementing those sources correctly, which I'll be going over in the next section. And which sources you choose to focus on is really based upon your time budget and marketing objectives, which is why I chose these top 3, because I think these top 3 kind of offer a good balance of they won't take a whole lot of time to develop. They're not they're probably the least expensive options for you, and in terms of your marketing objectives, they're going to pinpoint the kind of what most Amazon sellers want, which is more sales. Okay, because there's some traffic sources and advertising methods that are more appropriate for brand building and engagement rather than actual direct selling. So I think that these top 3 sources I'm going to introduce to you today are going to give you the best balance of getting the exposure plus the sales. So let's go over these. So number 1 traffic source, in my opinion, is an email list. Now, an email list is exactly what it is. It's a list of emails that you have obtained, and I will speak briefly in the next section about how, with some strategies and how you can build an email list. Preferably, an email list should be well curated in terms of having your contacts should be target audience that is related to your product niche. And so your email list shouldn't be just a bunch of junk emails that are you're canvassing people that may or may not be interested in your product. You want to build an email list that is somewhat warm in terms of your audience, okay? And rather than a cold audience list where the people are just random people and you don't really have any ideas to if they're even interested in your products. All right, and so the second traffic source is a paid search. So paid search would be Amazon sponsored ads, Google AdWords, Bing, any search engine traffic source where you actually pay them. It's a keyword driven advertising that is placed. So when somebody searches for your main keywords, your advertisement comes up. They click on the advertisement and they're sent directly to your listing, and that's how you get traffic. And then the third traffic source that I think it really works well for Amazon sellers is paid referral. And by paid referral, what I'm talking about here is where you are going to pay someone for an ad placement or even a mention or a shout out in their blog and on their website, on social media such as Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. And so paid referrals are basically, this is also a great way of getting kind of a win-win situation where you're collaborating with other people, other influencers in your niche, and you're trading exposure. You may say, I will do a shout out for you if you do a shout out for me. And so you blast your list with a referral, and they blast their list with your referral. And so it's a collaborative win-win. Okay. And so that way it is a great way of building brand exposure and getting some influence and some clout on your product, and helps just it can also help with build your email list, and it can also drive more traffic and more sales. So let's go over each one of these in a little bit more detail. With the email list, here's an interesting stat, and I just pulled this off not too long ago from the internets. 73% of millennials, and they're always changing the age range for the millennials around, but right now it's like between, I've seen 24 to 37 or 22 to 35, and I'm going to use 22 to 35. And these individuals amazingly prefer email over all forms of communication. So an email list is going to be great for if you're selling products that are targeting specifically people who are aged in that age group. You're missing out on a lot of potential customers if you don't have an email list. Okay, because look at that stat: 73, nearly 3/4 of millennials prefer email over all other forms of communication. That's over text messages and phone calls and direct mail, in social media. They would rather have email. Okay, an email list is, one perk of having an email list is that it's relatively easy to build and it's relatively inexpensive. Okay, so it's not all that costly to build an email list. And it's also an excellent way of building multiple touch points for your brand. And by touch points, what I mean by that is that, like, say you have an email and you can have, you can basically say in your email, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Okay, and then people can go to those places online and follow you there. So now you're building up your Facebook page, your Twitter page, and your Instagram account. All you're able to build more influence and more exposure for your brand automatically without having to do anything and without having to spend any extra money. So an email list is really great for that. And the best part of all is that you own the list, not Amazon. So one of the main sticking points of having, especially selling on Amazon, is that Amazon controls the whole customer experience. They don't give you any control over the email list. You don't have control over how much you contact. You can't follow up with them and ask for a review point blank. You have to really dance around Amazon's terms of service with the rules. And so when you own your own list, you don't have to worry about any of that. You can you can advertise your products whenever you want, and as long as you don't break any of the canned spam rules and you have a way of opting out of your email list for people, to follow all the federal, local, state, and everything, all those rules that go along with having an email list, you have complete control over the way that you communicate with your customers, and you can get really creative. Okay, you can provide discount codes and incentives. You can send them off to different places. You can refer people. You can include affiliate links in there for other products, and earn even more money off of it. So that is the best part, I think, of having an email list, and it can just really skyrocket your sales and generate extra streams of income by having your own list. So now let's go over paid search. So paid search, again, I'm just giving you some examples: Amazon sponsored ads, Google AdWords. The thing is with paid search, it's effective if it's done properly, but it's very costly if you don't do it correctly. Okay. So some strategies that you need to keep in mind: the higher the cost, you get short-term traction. The lower the cost has long-term maintenance. Okay, so if you decide to go kind of guns a-blazing with your paid search, you're going to get short-term traction, but you're going to and you're going to get that traction short, in a relatively short amount of time, but you're going to be spending a lot of money. All right, so you need to account for that. But if you decide to go low cost, you're going to have longer term maintenance. It's going to be slow burn. It's not going to be as effective. So you really need to keep those two strategies in mind. So as I said before, and this is kind of the main takeaway with paid search, is that it's easy to scale if done right, but costly if it's not done right. Okay, so that's the main takeaway for paid search. Now, paid referrals. So what we're talking about here is blogs, social groups like on Facebook, solo ad placements on websites. So if you go on a website and you ask the web owner, or a lot of times major websites will have their own advertising section where you can go on there and you can see what their advertising rates are, and you can buy advertising from them. Social media influencers. So go on to Instagram and reach out to social Instagram influencers. And oops, I jumped ahead there. And also YouTube. Also a great way of getting influence. Go on YouTube and contact some YouTube influencers. Have them do a product review for you. A great way of building exposure is to send a YouTube reviewer your product for them to review. Have them give their honest review on YouTube and blast that out to their subscribers. Okay, that's a great way of building exposure for your brand and building an extra stream of traffic to your product listing. So this traffic source can really be low cost and a win-win. But remember that it takes longer to do paid referrals because you have to go through the effort of reaching out to people and being diligent with following through with the influencers. But the return on investment can be a lot better in comparison to paid search or even an email list, because it's more of like a direct advertising. And it influence marketing. I would call this influence marketing, paid referrals, because people want to know that what they're buying has been used and that it's legitimate. And I think that's really important, and especially with millennials today, I'm finding that they really value the influence, and they value what other people are saying about the products. And so that is a major takeaway there. All right. So in the next section, I'm going to give you an overview of some basic strategies you can deploy to build your own traffic momentum using these 3 different sources. Okay. So I'll see you in the next section. Bye-bye. All right, so let's go over how to build momentum using each of these sources that I went over in the previous section. So with email list building, I think the best strategy right now, and this may change, but right now, I think the best way to do this is through a social contest. To build a list of targeted niche-based prospects. And with social contests, okay, you're going to use a service called like a Rafflecopter or Wishpond or something similar. UpViral is another one, where you're going to build a contest, a giveaway of a pretty good value. Okay, when I say pretty good value, I mean something maybe over $200. And this package, this giveaway package, is going to contain items related to your product in your product niche, but not your product specifically. Okay, and so this is a great pre-launch building strategy as well, where you can really build up a targeted list of people who are going to be interested in your product because they're already interested in the same category that you're targeting them for in this giveaway. And so that's my number one way of building a list right now, is to use a social contest. An important thing to understand about emails and email lists is that you use the emails to build a relationship and tell stories. Okay, you're not using the emails to direct sell them your products initially. You're going to do that eventually, but not right away. So you need to really give your prospects a reason to open your emails, okay? And this is a relationship you're going to build and curate throughout a period of time. And when I say a period of time, I'm talking about weeks, all right, and even months before they're going to trust you enough where they're going to start buying things from you. So what you're going to do is you're going to give them free content. You're going to give them free information, all right, free and then you're gonna sprinkle your emails with some discounts and some incentives. Okay, you have to give them a reason to open your emails, and it can't just be it just can't be like a 30% off coupon code for something that they may or may not want. You need to give them a reason to keep opening your emails and building trust and trusting you over a period of time. So it's really important with in email lists to not start until you have a clear plan as to how you're going to implement your email campaigns and so what I really recommend you do is you build out a strategy, like a weekly strategy for how you're going to deploy your emails. Also, it's very important to sign up with a trusted ESP, an email service provider. There are several. GetResponse, MailChimp, ActiveCampaign. These are all ESPs that you can research and decide which is best for you and what suits you the best. The other main point, and I kind of jumped ahead, sorry about that, is to be consistent. Okay. You want to be consistent with your emails. You can't just blast emails like for weeks on end and then stop. You need to be consistent. Otherwise, people will lose trust in you and then they won't buy from you. Okay, so those are the main key strategies for email list building. Oh, and don't be too aggressive. Don't be overly aggressive. You don't want to be spamming people. People will unsubscribe and you will lose your list, and you don't want that because without a list, the money is in the list, and if you don't have it, then you don't earn any money. So now let's move on to paid search. So basic strategy here is to make sure you set a defined marketing or paid search budget that you can live with. That is going to be in the parameters of your marketing budget. Okay. The higher the budget means usually in the context of paid search, more impressions. That means more people are going to be seeing your advertisement. The higher you bid on cost per click, the higher you're going to be positioned on the search result. Okay, so if somebody searches garlic press on Amazon and you are bidding $5 on average, and all your competitors are bidding $1, then your chances of being on page 1 on this for sponsored ads is going to be a lot higher. Okay, so the higher you bid, the higher your page rank. So when you're looking at your results for paid search, a high click-through means you have good ad placement. Okay, it means people are looking at your image, your price, and everything, and your title in particular, and it's basically checking off all the boxes in their mind as to relevancy. And so when you see a high click-through, it means that people are liking what they're seeing on first glance. If you have high clicks and a low conversion, it probably means you have a poorly optimized listing. And this means that people are initially looking at your listing and saying, oh, it looks good. But then they read more about your listing in terms of they look at the price and they read the reviews. and they decide that it's not, it ends up not being what they are looking for, and they don't buy it and make a sale. They don't make a purchase. If you have little clicks and high conversion, then this is really easy. This is an easy fix. It means you need to increase your cost per click bid so that you can get seen more. Okay, so you might want to increase your budget as well, so you can get seen more, and that more people will click through, and then you'll make more sales that way. If you have low impressions and low clicks, then that might be a signal that there's lack of demand for your product. Okay, so that might be a more of an issue with the fact that nobody's really wanting your product, and that speaks to supply and demand. Okay, so for paid referrals, one thing you can do is you can search for blogs and websites that are related to your niche. So just go to Google. Google is your friend, and go search for blogs and websites that are related to your niche. All right. Reach out to the people who own those blogs and websites, and ask them if you can place an ad or have your product featured on their blog, or have them write a review. Make it friendly. Contact social media influencers in your niche, like on Instagram and YouTube, and just reach out to them and ask them if they would be willing to do a little bit of quid pro quo. Trade a shout out for a shout out. Okay. The important thing is to be patient with paid referrals, because a lot of times these people either won't respond to their emails, they're gun shy, they don't know exactly why you're contacting them. They may be a little bit be skeptical, and so it's important just to be patient with them and follow up, but don't be overly aggressive with your follow-ups. Be sure to create win-win situations. Don't be greedy. Be very generous with what you're offering. Say, I'm doing this, and it would be great if we could collaborate and trade. Maybe either I can write a blog, do a review for you, if you could do a review for me, something like that. Create a win-win situation. And also, it's very important to have a plan here. Don't go in without having some sort of idea as to how you want to engage with these social influencers or with the website owners. Have a plan. Okay, so those are some basic strategies for how to get the most out of these traffic sources. I hope this was helpful for you. And, if there are any questions, be sure to reach out to me, and I'll post some information in the members area where this course is located, so that you have an action plan for you to get started. Okay, so thank you very much for watching this course. I hope you found it useful. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.